It's Villery, Lee, this first time football of Chelsea's a joy to watch. There goes Walker. Oh, he's got a player free on this side if he can find him. Chivers! What a tremendous run from the back by Gary Chivers. That was superb football by Chelsea again.
Chelsea!
Fellow Chelsea supporters, here at the Blue Day podcast, I am delighted to welcome this individual on the show today. He is a man who made 148 appearances for the club, scoring 4 goals. He started his career with Chelsea Football Club and played with the likes of Paul Canaville, Tommy Langley and a certain Ray Wilkins. Here is Gary Chivers. Gary, nice to see you again. Different circumstances, of course, but how are you nonetheless?
Yeah, I'm fine, Keith, and it's good that you've come to my part of the world to do this interview. And pleased to be on the Chelsea podcast.
Chivs, I'd like to start the interview, as I have done with my previous guest, by sort of asking you who influenced you to become a professional footballer. Was there a certain person or something that you watched on telly that inspired you? What was the factors behind your decision?
It was my love of football, really. Me and my brother was brought up in Stockwell, Lambeth. And we just loved playing out in the streets. I was a street footballer, really, me and my brother. And then all of a sudden, I come to the age of 10 and my brother got spotted. And he went to Chelsea at the age of 11. And then 2 years later, I got spotted. So it was brilliant. I think we was playing for South London. I was playing for South London, the schools, and then London. So it was a good time. It was a good time to be at Chelsea as well, and obviously that was the team I supported as a boy. I went to my first game, I think, when I was 6 with my brother. But we used to crawl. I was telling someone else the story the other day. We used to crawl under the turnstiles, and they used to let us in, go up to the back of the shed, and all of the fans then, what they used to do, they used to put you over their shoulders and just move you down. And my uncle used to stay in the pub, and he always said to us, as long as you don't tell me aunt that I'm staying in the pub all the time, we can go to the games. And I think we done the whole 67, 68 season, I think, at home, which was brilliant. And it was a good time. It's a good time to be a Chelsea supporter as well. You know, the players they had, the likes of Ronnie Harris, Charlie Cook, Peter Osgood. I mean, fantastic times for the club.
Would you say those individuals that you've just mentioned were your footballing idols growing up, or would you say there was others?
Well, I loved them. We both, me and my brother, both supported Chelsea. We loved going to the games, and then like all of a sudden going to the training ground, which used to be at Stamford Bridge. We used to train on concrete. Would you believe? I don't think they would allow it now, but we used to train on concrete overnight. And then every Easter, then the pros would come down and train us. And, I think my first one, I think I was 10, and Johnny Ollins is training me. I mean, it don't get any better than that, does it? Do you know what I mean? Being a Chelsea supporter and Johnny Ollins is training you. I think my brother got Ronnie, who I'm very close with now. But but good, really, really good times. Good times.
Now, you came through the academy at Chelsea as well. What was it like playing in the academy? Because for those that obviously are living under a rock, it's a lot different to what it is now.
Yeah, it was. You can call it what you want, but I'm not sure if it was an academy. It was, but it was good. It really was good. And the coaches we had at the time at Chelsea, we had Ken Chiletto. Now, if you're a defender, you can't be coached under a better coach than him. He played for England. He should have been in the 1966 World Cup. You know, so going there and being coached to be a fullback, and I started off as a fullback and then went to centre half. I mean, fantastic coaching, and they were the best. They were the best coaches around. So you would get. I think when I hit about 13, I was going to Arsenal on a Monday, Chelsea on a Tuesday, Queen's Park Rangers on a Wednesday, with a lot of other players as well, or a lot of other kids. But when it come to the coaching, Chelsea were by far, they had the best coaches.
And who would you say was the best player that you played in that youth side?
We had a lot of players that come through. Chrissy Sully, he didn't make a first team appearance. There was Jimmy Clare. There was Mickey Fillery, who had a great left foot, tremendous left foot. Colin Pates, Patesy, Johnny Bumpstead, Bunners. He was a year older than me. So yeah, all them sort of players. I've known them lads. I won't tell you my age. I'm getting to nearly 30. But yeah. But I've known them lads for like 40, 50 years. You know, it's brilliant. And that's. I don't know if the club draws you together, but it's a great feeling. Even going to the games now. I mean, I do the corporate, and seeing the guys, you know, it's just and you get that buzz. I get the buzz like working there. But I've always had an association with Chelsea, not only as a player, but I've coached the youth. It's been brilliant. It's been a fantastic thing for me.
Now, you made your debut for Chelsea in the 78-79 season against Middlesbrough. What are your memories of that game? And plus, when did you know you was going to be in the team on that day?
Well, that was quite strange, really, because I'd been knocking at the door. The team wasn't doing very well at the time. I think we was almost relegated. So I kept on knocking on Danny Blanchflower's door, and Danny, I have to say, was a gem. He was hilarious. You'd go and see him. He was just full of puns. He should have been a comic, really. He was a laugh a minute guy. I mean, I remember going and seeing him, and he sat me down, and I said, "Listen, I really think I'm ready to play." And he said, "Listen," he said, "I'll tell you when you're playing." He said, "Sit down." He said, "Can you imagine you're a lion?" And I went, "Sorry?" He said, "Can you imagine you're a lion?" And I'm thinking, where's this going? Where's this going? And he said, "And I'm a big lion. And I'm a big lion." He said, "But if I throw you in now, the big lion would be chewed up by the big lion." And I'm thinking, what is this guy on? What is he on? And he said, "So I want you to get a bit bigger, so then you can have a fight with the big lion and you'll be okay." And I went, yeah, okay. And he said, "Has that answered your question?" And I went, "No." I said, "I haven't got a clue what you're on about." And when I walked outside, I think Phil has come up to me and he said, "Are you playing on Saturday?" I said, "No." I said, "He's been talking about lions for the last half an hour. I haven't got a clue what he's on about." But what he was trying to say to me, in Danny's way, that he didn't want to throw me in too early. He didn't want me to go in there and all of a sudden get absolutely mullered. He wanted me ready. Fish. And when I did actually make my debut, it was all on the papers. It was all on the papers on a Friday that I was going to play, but he didn't pick the side till the Saturday. So I turned up at the game, and my dad came and my brother came, and I said, I think I'm playing because I'm in the papers. And then I saw Danny on the way in. He still hadn't told me. And I went up to Danny and I said, "Hey, Gaffer," I said, "What's happening?" And he just turned around to me. He said, "Oh, make sure you got the number 6 on at 3:00. And I went, "Oh, brilliant." So obviously I knew I was playing. Great feeling as well. And I even remember the first game. Ray Wilkins was captain. We played against Middlesbrough, and we were 2-1 up. 2-1 up. I think Graham Wilkins scored one goal. I'm not sure who scored a bit. I I played a 1-2 with Ray Wilkins, and I was through on goal on my debut, and I got wiped out by the big centre half, Ramage or Stuart Bohm, come and took me waist high for a penalty, and obviously I jumped up, and Tommy Langley ran towards me, ran straight past me to get the ball, ran straight past me, took the penalty and missed. But at least we started off my Chelsea career with a win, 2-1.
You mentioned Danny Blanchflower, who was the manager at the time. Great story about him, obviously pre-match, talking to you about Lions and stuff like that. Some of the listeners may not have heard of him. What are your other sort of memories of Danny as the gaffer?
Well, he was a gaffer who never wanted to be a gaffer, really. I mean, I remember one time going in there and talking about contracts, and I remember asking, and it wasn't an actual lot of money. What you're talking about, a lot of money now, but he actually said to me, "I think you're worth more than that." He wanted to give me more than what I was asking for. He was just a nice, really lovely guy. Not management material, wouldn't last 2 seconds in today's world, but he was just a nice all-round guy, and he just wanted to defend you. I mean, I remember seeing some of the games, and we lost during the season. He would never slag anyone off. You tried your best. He was just a nice guy, but yeah, not a football manager.
With the Chelsea team that was there for that season, unfortunately, they did go down to the second division. Was you shocked at that time that this team did go down?
No. There was a lot of players that left the club, and we had the one gem, which I call a gem, which was Ray Wilkins, who kept everything together. Fantastic, not only on the pitch, but fantastic guy off the pitch. Brilliant fella, and obviously, when they sold him, but he stayed on at Chelsea to the end of the season, that was the gem. That when you knew it was going to be the next couple of seasons going to be really, really hard. But we had lots of youngsters coming through. Trevor Aylott had come in and done quite well. Johnny Bumpstead had started playing. Mickey Fillery started playing. So we had a good nucleus of a side, but it had to be homegrown because we didn't have a lot of money.
And what did you make of the team's chances? Would you look at that summer? You got the 79-80 season. We're in the second division. Was you confident at the time that the club would get straight back up?
I thought we'd get straight back up. Yeah, I really did. We had a confidence about us. We looked half decent side as well, and we played good football. We did play good football. We needed one or two additions to that squad. And if we'd have had one or two more additions, I think we would have done better, obviously, than what we did. But we came close, really, really close. I think 2 went up that year instead of 3, and I think we finished third on goal difference. It was goal difference, and it came to the last game of the season. West Ham had played Arsenal in the FA Cup. It was something like that, and then Sunderland had to play, and obviously, I'm not being funny, Sunderland going to West Ham when they've just won the FA Cup, are they going to be bothered? Are they going to try a leg to let Chelsea up? No, and no, they didn't. And Sunderland went up instead of us, but we should have gone up that year.
Now, Chelsea changed their manager halfway through the season when Jeff Hurst would come in to take over from Danny. Was you shocked with the decision in terms of not just Mr. Blanchflower leaving, but Sir Jeff Hurst coming in to replace him?
Well, Jeff was there as a coach. He came as a coach with Danny, so he was in and about the side. He was learning his coaching skills, and when Jeff, because when you looked at Danny and you thought I don't think he ever wanted to be a manager. I mean, he used to come in his tracksuit, but he'd be hitting golf balls while we would be training. Do you know what I mean? He just loved his golf. He had a lovely life. I don't think he wanted football to be interfered with, really. But Jeff came in, and Jeff had some good ideas, and then he brought Bobby Gould in with him, and they did quite well. I think we had as soon as Jeff was hunting for the managership, we went on a 5-game unbeaten run, which we won all 5 games, and then we had 2 losses, I think, and then we went on another 5-game unbeaten run where we won all 5 games again. So we were right up there, and I think that's what landed him the job.
It was also this season where you managed to score your first goal for Chelsea against Bristol Rovers. How pleased was you to finally get off the mark for Chelsea, bearing in mind it was a few appearances since your debut that you managed to score?
I remember little Razor, little bless his heart, Ian Burton, who's no longer with us, passing the ball out wide, and I took one pushed it forward with me right, and it was a decent strike. It was a decent strike, I have to say. Should have won goal of the season. No. But yeah, it was a decent strike. I was pleased to score. I think we won the game 1-0 as well from right back. But it was just, listen, I'm watching Chelsea playing in the shed when I'm 6 or 7 or 8 years of age, and the next thing I'm on the pitch. You know, it's every man's dream. You know, it's every man's dream. I don't care what you say. You know, you're supporting Chelsea. You're there. And then you're putting on the blue shirt. It's just a fantastic feeling.
Because of the performances that you put in and because of the rapport you was getting through your teammates, what was the fans like to you? Were they keen on you to begin with, or do you feel that you had to sort of work at it for a bit longer to try and get them on side?
They was always good to me. They was always good to me from day one, from when I made my debut. I mean, I don't think there was a lot there, not like it is now, but they was always good to me. They was really, really good throughout my Chelsea career, and even now doing the corporate, they're fantastic. They've always had. I'm not sure if it's because I was a Chelsea supporter or coming from Stockwell, because obviously supporting your local club, but they've always been fantastic towards me. And no matter where I've come back with other clubs. They've always clapped me, which I'm not being funny. From being I'm a Chelsea supporter, you're a Chelsea supporter for life, but it means so much. Do you know what I mean? When the crowd does that to you.
In the subsequent years, the club underperformed and didn't finish in the top half of the second division, whether it was with Jeff Hurst or others. What would you say were the reasons behind that? Would you say it was from a club standpoint with the finances? Would you say it's the management? Would you say it's the players? Because if you look at the players we had in that squad, the likes of Johnny Bumstead, Patesy, or even David Speedy, these players were of decent quality. What would you say were the issues behind Chelsea not progressing in the second division?
I think we had a good squad. I think we had a decent squad, but we just needed 1 or 2 more. We just needed 1 or 2 more players to boost the squad, really. But they never came. And it was a shame, really, because if they'd have got them, I think we would have gone back up. So it was, but it was difficult times for Chelsea as well. You know, no money, you know, and they always blame it on the East Stand being built. But it was just, it's just the way the club was at the time. And when you looked at it, it's not the Stamford Bridge like it is now, but it's all nice and shiny, and there's hotels. Yeah, it was a different place to be, and it was really when you looked at it, it looked like a shack, but it just needed money invested in it, and invested in the side as well. But what do? Do you invest in the stadium, or do you invest in the side? And that's what people used to say to me, and I'd say, you'll invest in both. Invest in the stand, invest in the team, because if you've got the team, the supporters will always turn up and come and support you.
In 1981, John Neal took over the Chelsea position as the coach. What was your relationship like with John Neal?
Me and John, when I first came there, I was promised. I think I come second in Player of the Season the year before, and I got second in Goal of the Season, which everyone still remembers now. I think. They haven't got a lot of choice, have they, with the other 3 goals? But I was promised a new contract, and as soon as John Neal came, and rightly so, he said, I want to look at you, and you either get on with managers or you don't get on with managers, and not everyone likes you. John Neal did really well for the club. He got him promotion, him and McNeil, but I didn't really see eye to eye to him. We clashed on several occasions, so not a good thing to do. But when you're 21 and I don't know, you just want to play football, you just want to be playing. You want to be playing somewhere.
Did he outline his plans for you at the start, or was it a while before he started to sort of put his feet under the table that he would then say to you, this is my plans for you, like it or lump it sort of thing?
Well, he came in, he was quietly spoken, man, and he had his ideas. The one thing he did have was Ian McNeill, who was a very, very good scout. Very, very good scout. And he went out and scouted all sorts of players, the likes of Joe McLaughlin, Pat Nevin, and Nigel Spackman. And I think a lot of that was Ian McNeill, who brilliant scout, and got some good players in at Chelsea. But yeah, it was a time when I look back on it, and maybe I should have knuckled down a little bit more, and tried to get on with him, but it's just one of them personality clashes, really.
Now, overall, you didn't score many for Chelsea, as you've said, only the 4. Are you disappointed looking back on that number, or being a defender, you wasn't too concerned with scoring, you was just more concerned with trying to keep the ball out of our net?
Exactly right. I'm not being funny. Yeah, 4 goals. It's up to the centre forward to score. That's why they pay him extra money. But yeah, it was. I just wanted to keep him out, and we don't forget we had some crazy keepers at the time. Peter Barotta. I mean, what a nutcase! Bless his heart. Apparently, sadly, passed away a couple of years ago. But what a character! But absolutely nuts. I mean, before we actually went out onto the pitch, if we played up north, it was like the old-fashioned days where some players would have a nip of brandy and a nip of scotch if it was really cold. Well, I remember going up to Grimsby once, and all of a sudden Peter Barotta's picked up the brandy bottle, and I think he had it to his mouth for about 5 minutes. I mean, we had to struggle to get it off of him. I mean, he was crazy, but what a fantastic guy, really fantastic guy. But we needed a decent goalkeeper. Not saying Peter wasn't, but he was. He was the first guy who came up for a corner, I think, Peter Barotta. He just done some unbelievable things. He was always running out of his box. I mean, I remember being nearly up to the halfway line, and I think we had a corner, and when I turned round, he's standing beside me, chatting to me, and I'm thinking, get back in goal, mate. Get back in goal. What a character, though. Fantastic character. Brilliant.
What was he like with his fellow teammates? Did he have a teammate sort of get on with him, or was he more of like an outcast in the team and just wanted to do his own little thing?
Well, he done his own thing, but everyone loved him. Everyone loved Peter. He was one hell of a guy, and he used to do. He used to come over to me. I think it was Jeff Hurst come over to. He said, "Can you translate what Peter's saying?" And I'm going, "What? I don't speak Yugoslavian or anything like that." But Peter would rather speak to me, and I'd say, "He ain't happy at the moment," and he'd go, "Ask him why he ain't happy," and I'd go, "Why ain't you ain't happy? Why don't you speak to him?" I say, "Speak to him, not to me." But he was like that. And one of the things is English. I remember playing at Bolton one time, and a guy kicked him in the head. Whitmore. It was Whitmore. Kicked him in the head. I've never seen that. Now, he got up and was trying to smash him to death. And then it sort of calmed him down. The referee calmed him down, and he was going to send him off. And then the next thing, the ball come up to the halfway line. Neil Watmore it was. I've jumped up with Neil Watmore, and all of a sudden, the pair of us had been wiped out. It was Peter who come up to the halfway line to try and punch him. Crackers. Absolutely crackers. But hell of a guy. And Another story. He nearly got arrested before one of the games. It was like 10-3. We were just about going to go out on Stamford Bridge, and the police have turned up, and they said they're doing. They wanted Peterborough. They was going to arrest him for parking fines, because what had happened was they were putting tickets on his car, but he thought they were autographs that people wanted. So he would take the paper out, sign his autograph, put it back into the plastic piece of paper and put it on the side of the road. But they weren't. They were parking fines, parking tickets. Crackers. The man was crackers.
That's brilliant. Okay, in 1983, you left Chelsea after 5 years at the club. What were the factors behind you leaving? Was it to do with John Neal, or was it other...
Maybe it was to do with John Neal, but I think to get my career started again, I needed to leave. Although I didn't see I didn't see eye to eye with him, and yet he done fantastic for Chelsea. So good on John Neal. He done brilliant for him. But yeah, it was really, really, really hard to leave, because I've been there since I was 10 years of age. So I knew all the ground people, Millie, the washing kit lady, everyone, and so it was really, really hard. But I think to probably further my career, I needed to go at that present moment in time, and I did, and I left the club. But I was sad, really sad to leave the club.
Was there any indication for you that you thought that if you leave, there may be opportunities for you to come back, whether it be later on as a player or even as a coach? Did you have any ambitions for that, or was it just a case of, Chelsea's in my rearview mirror now, I've got to look forward?
You try and look forward, but if you love the club as much as what I love the club, I still love the club, and they was always, like I said, they was always terrific with me. But yeah, you sort of like you try and put it out of your mind. I hated playing against them. I really hated playing against them. I found it hard, and I found it hard when you're playing against them, and all of a sudden they shout out traitor, 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 and you think no. You almost want to shout, I didn't want to leave. It was just one of them things. But I mean, I played against them several times as well, and always did reasonably well against them. Lost some, won some, but lost some. But it was always I didn't enjoy that day at all. I really didn't enjoy that day. And I remember the first time. I think it just got to me. Seeing the Chelsea crowd and everything. And I think I was at Swansea then. And I remember thinking, oh, God, I don't want to be here. I'd rather be wearing a blue shirt. But you've got to get that out of your brain, because you're a professional. But yeah, it was difficult. I hated playing against them. Didn't like it at all.
Now, before we sort of touch on the modern day stuff, we'll talk briefly about certain characters that you was in the dressing room that you shared with at Chelsea, and there was some intriguing people that you shared the dressing room with. What stories or recollections do you have? When you sort of go as far back to like Ron Harris or Paul Canaville, David Speedy, for example. You got any other stories worth sharing of these particular people, and what were they like, sort of maybe off the pitch, that people may not know about too much about them?
Well, Ronnie Harris was like a mentor to us, really. Ronnie, if you can't learn off of him, defending wise, because you don't play that many games like he's played, 795, without being a decent defender for Chelsea, and he would always question you. So, like, if you're training, and what they used to do at Chelsea, which is another brilliant thing, that you'll be training with your age group, but every Friday the best apprentice would move up and train with the first team. And he was always the one. Always the one to say, "You was playing against, say, Clive Walker today. What foot does he kick with?" And you go, left foot, yeah. Where does he always turn? So he was always prepping you. So when you it put a different angle on the game. Do you know what I mean? It's like remember playing one game and playing against someone who was like 4 inches taller than me, and he said to me, Ronnie said to me, he said, right, how many balls do you think you're going to win in the air? I said, I don't know. He said, well, how are you going to mark him? I said, well, I'll mark him at the back of him. I'll mark him at the back. And he went to me, well, if you stand there all game, you're not going to win a header, is he? Because he's 5 inches taller than you. And he was always questioning it, but it got you thinking. So he would say, go and stand beside him. Go and stand in front of him. He will react off your reaction. And you thought, yeah, you learnt different aspects of the game, which was brilliant. Mickey Joy was fantastic. Mickey Joy, very, very underrated player. Fantastic left foot, Joy's he had. Mickey Fillery, outstanding. Really, someone should have grabbed hold of him when he was at Chelsea and just... They should have built a team around him, I think. I think he was that good at a certain stage. Lovely, great free kicks, Mick as well. Pingham, Patesy, Bunners. I mean, they had good careers at Chelsea, but yeah, it was a good squad. Clive was quick as anything. When we bought Colin Lee, great at holding the ball up. The team should have done better, really, looking back on it.
Now, in later years, you was working in the hospitality with Chelsea, and you sort of seen all, the other Chelsea players from yesteryear, but you managed to build up a good rapport with a certain Ron Harris, where you've done Q&A events together and you've done other events together. You would say Ron is one of your closest friends. What was he like as a person, not just as a captain for Chelsea, not just as a defender, but what was he like as a person and as a friend?
As a friend, he's been fantastic to us. But we're all... You mentioned Ron, but we're all close. We're all close. It's a close-knit family, like Trevor A, like Mickey Fillery. Mickey Fillery lives in Devon, constantly on the phone. Like Patesy down at Brighton, constantly on the phone. Johnny Bumpstead in Kent, constantly on the phone. And we've been brought up together, and it's like. And the way Chelsea bring us together, we have certain functions that all the players go to, and they're brilliant functions, and it's great to see the old faces. And then as soon as you see a face you ain't seen for ages, you're swapping numbers, you're back on the phone. I think Chelsea is such a family. Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's just fantastic. It's just they bring everyone together, and they really, really do that. And they've been brilliant to us. Absolutely fantastic for us.
Now, we will talk about the current stuff, unfortunately, at the moment, but before we do talk about today's Chelsea, I want to talk about something in particular that has rolled people up a little bit for good and bad, and that's VAR. Your thoughts on it? Is there any particular thing you would change from it, or is there any particular thing that you're happy with?
In some ways, I'm pleased with it, in some ways, I'm not. But when a bloke's right toes offside, that ain't right. That ain't right. That can't be right. And why does it take that long? Why does it take that long to decide? It should be done instantly. Someone should be telling the ref. The ref should be mic'd up, or he should have something round him. He doesn't have to run off. That really angers me. He doesn't have to run off the pitch to look at a screen and then have the headphones on to tell him. Just tell him. We're in the 21st or 22nd. Just tell him, yeah, it's no goal straight away. But when someone's toes offside, no, come on. Yeah, it's frustrating. I find that frustrating, really frustrating.
Talking of frustrating, we're going to talk about the current Chelsea at the moment. And they have been very frustrated at the moment. I think it's quite kind of glad that the World Cup's on at the moment, so we don't have to worry about them during the Christmas period. But obviously, change of manager with Potter coming in. It seemed a good start as it did, beating Milan twice. And then recently we'd go on to lose a few games, but it's more the performances has been the issue. And there's been certain players' performances that have been criticised massively. What's your thoughts on the current day Chelsea, and where do you see them at the end of the season?
I think you've got to look at the whole situation. We couldn't buy anyone when they first took over, the new owners. So you've got to look at that. And then we were 6 weeks behind, and I'm not sticking up for them, but we were 6 weeks behind everyone else when the embargo got taken off of us. Then we went out and we had to buy players instantly. So what we done, we went out and bought experienced players. Now, I'm not saying them players will be at Chelsea in 2 years' time, but I think that we needed to get over that period. Now, if you look, now they're looking in the transfer market now, we're looking for younger players to come in, to bring in, which is great. But we're still, at the moment, we're going through a transitional period. And I think supporters have got to be a little bit patient with it. You know, all of a sudden, Thomas Tuchel goes. We get Aubameyang, who signs to Thomas Tuchel. A day later, Thomas Tuchel's gone. So what must Aubameyang feel like? You know, and we knew he was a stopgap because he's 33, 34. But a good player, we knew him get goals. But I think we just have to be patient, and we have to be patient with Graham Potter, who's come in, who's had all this put in front of him, and he's got to deal with it now. And he's brought his whole backroom staff with us, and everything with him. So we just got to be patient and see what happens in the transfer window. Do you know what? That'd be so interesting. Who we bring in, what players we bring in, and we've got some good players. You know, Conor Gallagher. You know, although he hasn't. I love when I see him play, but he's got to get more involved. He's got to be more of a focal point. We've got decent young players coming through the youth systems. You know, give them a go. Give them a go. Don't hurry to go out and buy someone for 75, 80 million. Just have a look. Just have a look. And I think we'll be patient. And there'll be young players with that hunger. And sometimes you have to have that hunger.
Speaking of incomings, there are rumours at the current moment that a certain Cristiano Ronaldo could be coming to Chelsea. Would you take him at the moment?
Honestly, no. 37, 38. Yeah, listen, brilliant that he wants to play. But looking at him, and I would always say this: no one's bigger than a football club. But the way Cristiano Ronaldo's been, I think he's bigger than Man United. He's just a big, massive character. And I think Den Haag's done really well in controlling him. But it's all about Cristiano Ronaldo. It's all about the circus. And we don't need a circus, really. We don't need a circus. If it was Cristiano Ronaldo 6 years ago, you'd have him tomorrow. 7 years ago, you'd have him tomorrow. But not a 38, no. We want nice young players coming through, talented players, young with a hunger.
Well, hopefully we don't see Piers Morgan pitch up at Chelsea trying to beg Ronaldo to come to Stamford Bridge. Hopefully not. Finally, Chivs, again, thanks very much for coming on to the show. How do you look back on your career at Chelsea?
I loved it. I loved it. You know, it doesn't get no better than being a supporter, than playing for the teams you support and the club you love and the club you support. And I look back at the different roles I've had at Chelsea as well. You know, starting off as a player, then coming back. I trained the youth team for about 6 or 7 years, and then stopped that, and then coming back and doing the corporate side. So I've been in and around Chelsea since the age of 6, really. So it's 50 odd years, and loving it. I just love it. I still get excited. I'm a saddo, really. I'm a sad man. I still get excited coming out of Fulham Broadway, turning left, and I still get a buzz walking in. The hairs at the back of my neck still get up.
The
It's sad. Oh, it's magical. It's magical. Magical. And then all of a sudden you turn into the club and you think, I'm home. They're brilliant. And everyone there is good to us. They're fantastic to us. Love it. Love the club, yeah. Just hope it continues.
Chivs, fantastic. Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on to the show. Hopefully in the new year, Chelsea will improve and everyone that goes to the ground will enjoy themselves, and hopefully we'll see you at the bridge soon as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers.